Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you today to start a new streaming. So happy to be here with you today. And I would like to speak about the scroll or the Bible as a scroll and why do we tend to think that we are the doers, the makers of our lives? And we shall see that it's just impossible. When we read, let's say, whether it's the Bible or any kind of story that was written in a form of scroll, it is impossible to read the whole scroll at once. So we just read what is in front of our eyes. What used to be one moment before, it's already rolled, and what's going to be the next moment, it's not revealed yet. So we can only focus it on what is happening now. This is quite simple. So we can only be in this present. The past does not exist for us. Also, the future is unknown. So we are here. In the same manner, what we conceive as the story of our lives is just one person. Hello, Zeno. Good to see you here. One person sits in a cinema and looks and sees the movie, just the movie of his life being reflected, and he sits in the dark and sees the movie of his life, of his life. Hello, Felipe. In those days, we're going to celebrate a holiday called Purim, which means like luck or lottery. Pur is a lottery or luck. And we're going to celebrate this holiday in the next few days. And in those days, we are reading the scroll of Esther, Megillat Esther. Megillah is a scroll because Megillah comes from legolel, to scroll. And Esther is the hidden. So what is so special about the name? In English, it's the scroll of Esther. But in Hebrew, this is an oxymoron, to reveal the hidden. Megillah, Gilui, is a revelation, to open what is hidden, what is already secret. Esther with the letter He is hidden. So to open something which is hidden, this is like oxymoron, Megillat Esther. So while we scroll the scroll, the hidden is being revealed to us. Wei Wu Wei wrote a book, and it was published in 1965 under Hong Kong University Press. His book was named Open Secret. Open Secret. How basically the being is always here and nobody managed even to see it because there's a veil in front of our eyes that does not enable us to see what there is, because the projection is always the me, myself is a story. So the story of myself, it doesn't matter who, or the story of me is just a dark veil that comes between us and life and portrays me as the great hero of the story, while all life is being scrambled, does not exist. Only me in the story, character in the movie exists. But what happens when the sense of me dissolves? The sense of me dissolves. What happens? There's a new world is being opened to us. Wei Wu Wei says something very interesting. He asks why people are unhappy. Because most of people are unhappy. And he brings up a very interesting answer. He says 99.9% of our times we are thinking of something which is not existing. Therefore, people aren't happy because all the time they're occupied with something that is not existing. The me, a separated entity, is an illusion. And when people are occupied with 99% of the time and more thinking, pondering, regretting of something which is not existing, they cannot be happy because it's just obsessed. Because Isaac was born when Abraham was 100. Abraham was circumcised at the age of 99. This is what Wei Wu Wei says. 99% and even more, 99.9% of the time we are thinking of ourselves. And this is a cause of sorrow. This is a cause of unhappiness. And please look at the parallel numbers. Abraham was circumcised in the age of 99. The veil that projects only his life, his calculations are supposed to be removed with the circumcision and see what is happening. And Isaac is born, the happiness, the joy, the next year, not as a different entity, of course. Yes, but what happens when the veil of me is being removed? And please pay attention to the comment or to the visit of the 3 angels at Abraham's tent after he's circumcised. 3 angels are coming. Each one is carrying a different perspective, a blessing, a notification. But look how they come together. What happens when the veil is being removed? So one angel says, Sodom. Yes, it was lacking one. Yes, true. So one angel says, you shall be healed from the pain. What pain? Of losing. The greatest pain is not a scratch on the skin. The greatest pain that someone can ever have is losing the story about myself. This is a death penalty. The greatest pain someone can ever have is losing the story of myself. And when Abraham was circumcised, it's not a scratch in the skin, it's dissolving the me, losing the story about myself as a separated entity, as being the center of this world. So let's go back to the angels. One angel says, you shall be healed from the pain, from the circumcision, from the story of not me, removing the story of me as the center of the universe. Another angel comes and says, I'm going to opposite Sodom. When people are just calculating, I'm going to opposite their way. And another angel comes, Angel Michael says, next year, this time, you're going to have a son. Not you're going to have a son. There is a son to Sarah, your wife. It's not about Abraham's sons at all. Sarah, your wife, Sarai. Sarai is also Shin Resh Yod, like the letters of the word Shir, the song. The song will have a child. The song will have a child that is laughter. So if we take those 3 messages from the 3 angels, yes, those are not separated messages. Once there is a healing from the story of myself, all the former order of calculation is being destroyed. This is the destruction of Sodom, because in Sodom everything is calculated until the bare end. So once we are circumcised, there is a dissolving of the self, of the me story. There is no more Sodom in us, because Sodom in us, and please pay attention to the relation, to the family, so to speak, relations between Abraham and Lot, his nephew, who lives in Sodom. Those are not just family relatives. It's just the first relative of me is what? Calculations. And this is what they do. They want to know everything. The people of Sodom, they want to know everything. They calculated everything until death. So once there is a removal or the dissolving of the me, there is no calculation. And Sodom, and once there are no more calculation of cost benefit, what is good for me, what is not good for me, what is good for me, what is not good for me. Those things are just being washed away. This is the destruction of Sodom. Where? Inside of the me self. Yes, Sodom is not ancient city. Yes, it's not historical story. Once the story of me is gone, also the calculation of what good for me or not good for me is also gone. And this is basically the destruction of Sodom inside oneself, so to speak, in the private story. But there's also, this is a triangle message, because there's another angel here and another message, the message of Michael. Michael says, next year, this time, Sarah, yes, there is a son, Ka'et Chaya Vehine Ven, and there's a son to Sarah, your wife. This time, 99. Now Abraham is at the moment of circumcision at the age of 99. Next year is going to be 100. There's a son to Sarah, your wife. The song will deliver laughter. And this laughter has nothing to do with the world of me or myself as a story. And this is once the me dissolves, laughter can come, music can come. Yes? Therefore, Isaac is not the son of Abraham. The me cannot produce anything. Nothing can come out of me. Yes? People think that there's a father and son. From the me, from the sense of self, nothing can come. This is why Sodom is being demolished. So Isaac, the laughter, is being born as a consequence of a new world. The world of poetry, the world of song, the world of laughter. And it has nothing with the me. Because when people always focus on the me story or myself, there's all the time sadness and calculation. And the world is winning and they are the losers. Or the me or myself is always the loser and somebody else is winning. Yes, and nothing can come out of it. Any questions? So says Wu Wei, the cause for unhappiness among human beings, yes, to the me everything is a zero-sum game. Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct. This is the world of duality, zero-sum. This is it. And once comes, in a way, a different equation. There is a completely different world and new life. Once there is no walls of the me that I need to protect. What happens when someone has a story of me, of myself? It doesn't matter if it's a name, if it's the address that has to name and address and so few more details and a birthday. What happens? We all the time need to protect the story, because there isn't any story and we fence ourselves in with the story, and the consequence is all the time trying to protect the story. And whatever comes from reality is a lie, and we have to protect the story. And the more we put more and more protection or security on the story of me, the heavier it becomes. It is unbearable to walk with such a constructia around something which is not existing, because what is there inside? Nothing. Yes, infinite, it's basic. It is basically nothing. In each and every one of us, there is a nest, and I will write it because we need here the Hebrew. Let's move, and here I would like to write nest. When the birds sits, the house of the bird is a nest. In Hebrew, we call this nest with two letters. It is ken. Ken. I'm trying to send it, but it's not working because I'm trying the chat here. First time. Yes. Inside of us, there is infinite is nesting. Yes? Dwelling. Inside of each and every one of us, inside of everything. Inside. Yes? Or whatever encompasses all is infinity. Inside, there's emptiness, and this emptiness is a nest. Ken in Hebrew. Ken. Ken. What happens when Eve delivers the first child? Chava, the experience, Chava, is from Chaim, Chava, experience. She delivers a baby. She doesn't feel that she holds in her arms Ken, the nest of the infinite. She does not feel that she holds in her arms the nest of infinite. She feels it is hers. Therefore, she names the child, the baby, as Kain. Kaniti, I have it as an asset. This is my own. Again, please pay attention to the movement in Hebrew. Nest, emptiness, is ken. Ken latzipor, nest to the bird. Yes? But Eve, once she's holding the baby, she doesn't feel in her arms it's infinite. She feels it's her own and finite. Therefore, she adds the yod. Kaniti, this is my. Kaniti has 2 yods, by the way. And it becomes kain. This is my own asset. So this is just an example, because in each and every one of us, infinite is nesting, meaning hovering there. This is, and therefore there is no me, there is also no other, there is no rivalry, because in all of us there is nothing, even in a bird, even in a cat, even in a dolphin, even in a flower, in a rock. This is the infinite that hosts all of those appearances. Yes? So, go back to Eve. What does she say? Kaniti, this is my own purchase. It's mine. I hold it in my arms. It's not infinite anymore. It's finite, and this is mine. What Eve does is regarding to the baby, this is what the brain of every one of us does. Yes, whenever the brain catches some kind of an information and input, it claims ownership on it and says, I have bought. What does it mean, I have bought? I have it under my hand. I can calculate. I can put a graph on it. I can issue it as a book or dynamic spreadsheet. I have it under my control. This is what the brain does. Chaviti, this is the experience. I have experienced numbers. I know the stories. I can build you a story from numbers. What is statistics? I can build you a story from numbers. Yes, Felipe? In Hebrew grammar, the letter yod relates to possession. Yes, sometimes yes. Yes, sometimes. Yes, yes. Let's take like any kind of noun. Yes. Let's take the word for a book. Yes. How come that it is related to the tree? One second. There isn't. It's good. It's in grammar. There is a book in Hebrew. The book in Hebrew is Sefer. Sefer. Yeah, Sefer. Like Sapphire, like from because it illuminates. Yes, Sefer, because it illuminates like Sapphire, the beautiful gemstone. Sefer. My book, Sifri. Please pay attention. Sifri. Yes? Sefer, book. In English, my book, 2 words. My book. In Hebrew, it's a Semitic language. There's a yod at the end. Sefer, Sifri. Sifri is my book. Sifri. Sifri. Just write it like that. Sifri. Take another word that you like, whatever. Yes, let's say another example. Doesn't, okay, garden, gan. Gan. Gan is garden. Gan is garden. Garden. My garden in English we shall say, and in Hebrew, gani. Gani. Yes? Gani. By the way, jeans, yes? From the garden. So the question is that Felipe was asking, this is quite a valid question. How come that it is related to the tree of life as well? Because we say the Yod is a covenant also. Yes, the Yod is the covenant, the connection. Yes? Once we understand that the Yod is just dwelling, we are not having it. It is borrowed. Wisdom, everything which is around us is borrowed to us. Everything is just being exhibited next to us. We're not the owner. Yes, this is the connection. The Yod is just what? Alone. Everything here is alone. We think this is my life, this is my story. Yes, what happens when the story ends? Yes, infinite just drop its attachment to the body drops. Yes, and the loan which the infinite, it's like loaning money. Yes, life, money. Infinite loans the life here for a certain time, and when time is over, infinite disattaches itself from the body, from the story. Yes, and the loan is back, like to borrow a book in the library. We borrow books in the library. Yes, this is a beautiful name that Leah comes with. Once the third son from Jacob is being born, Levi, it means to also borrow, but also to escort. There is a sense of escorting. Yes? So the infinite is escorting everything here. Also, everything is like being borrowed. We are not the owners of life. We are not the masters of life. We're not the masters of our stories. We cannot improve ourselves. This is the story. This is the script is already there. Every day I feel it. The script is there. We're just walking between the letters of the script. So life here are basically being borrowed to the appearances. And once the appearances stop to appear, nothing happens. There's appearance and disappearance, but life is all the time life. Questions so far? There is a beautiful verse in the Bible which is saying the next words, Lavu alai vani porea. Lavu alai, the Holy Blessed says, they have borrowed from me. Yes, and yes, vani porea, it's like when somebody takes a loan, take money. Yes, and then we cover. Porea is to pay. And I'm paying. So people feel that they have their own lives and they have their own stories at hand, and what they tell themselves is the absolute truth, which is not really like this at all. Therefore, three things are happening, yes, when the angels are coming to meet Abraham. Yes, one angel, Raphael. Yes, Raphael is the healing. Raphael, God is healing. And the message to Abraham, you shall be healed from the story about yourself, from the story about me. There is no painful how would I say, experience than to lose the story about myself. It's something that does not exist, and some people experience it like it's a great loss. But it's just a removal of the veil. So Raphael says, you shall be healed. This is the message. A second angel comes and says, Sodom, the calculation comes from wanting to benefit oneself. Also the Sodom, the calculation, or the city of calculation, the residence of space inside, which is calculating all the time. I'm going to opposite. It cannot continue because it does not resonate. The finite does not resonate with infinite. So it's going to opposite Sodom, the calculation. And look what happens from the daughter of calculation, the daughters of Lot, because they also being deluded under the same veil that I can calculate everything. If I don't see any world after, from their eyes, from their senses, if they don't see the world, and Sodom is being opposite, there's no one there left because their eyes cannot reach more than a few kilometers. They decide what they decide, they go to the cave, and some children are being born under those conditions. And the third angel, Michael come with a good blessing. Yes, Raphael says you shall be healed from the painful story about yourself. No more calculation can hold on. This is the opposite of Sodom. And Michael comes, new life will come next year. But it's for sure that not from the body or the mind that are calculating. Yes, Isaac is not a consequence of man's revenue or man's attributes. This is also what Philon says in his writing. In contrary to the story of Adam and Eve, when the Bible says, Ve'ha'adam yada et Chava ishto, and the man knew his wife Eve, in the verses about Sarah and Abraham and Isaac, the word know or knew does not appear. Yes? In the story of Isaac, the word known or knew does not appear. Only one verse. Yes? Ve'Hashem pakad et Sarah, and the infinite met Sarah. Infinite met Sarah. Pakad. Pakad can be sometimes function as to command, comment or so, but pakad, if we turn those three letters into numbers, it is 148. This is 1. Yes? 148. This is echad. Yes, Sarai is not being pregnant by Abraham. Yes, but from the infinite. This is very, very interesting because you can see sparks from it, like footprints of those stories, also in the story of Jesus. This is quite interesting. Also, Weinreb in his writing sees a lot of parallel lines between the birth of Isaac and the birth of Jesus. Not from the Father. Not from the Father. Questions? There is a tendency among us, and it is common to all, to think that there was a me, there is me, and there will be me. Or there is a name, let's say John yesterday, John today, and John tomorrow, and we are connecting all of those dots to a linear story. And this is only invention, yes, of the brain trying to connect the dots to one story. Maybe you have some kind of a memory from kindergarten. We used to receive a certain hour in the morning. There used to be like concentration time for the children. And each and every one of us used to get a white page with numbers on it, and next to the numbers there were dots, and we used to take a pencil and to connect, and this is how we learned to count also, to move from 1 to 2 to 3 and 40, 50, until at some point you reach the last number, let's say 58, 60 or so, maybe 48, and then you notice that you were moving, and there's like a shape of a snail, a shape of a tiger. This is what the brain does, moves between all kinds of points of reference and tell us this is the absolute story about your life, this is who you are, and so on. And we swallow this story, we eat this story, and this is eating from the tree of knowledge. Yes, there is a question here. Hi, can we say that we are claiming the wisdom, Yod, which is not ours? In Hebrew, we take the Yod, yes, at the end of the word to yes, we are taking something which is not ours. This is an excellent description. We are taking something which is not ours, and we are claiming ownership upon it or about it. Yes, this is precisely how it is. Everything we're taking as for granted. Yes, many people walk at the shore and they notice this beautiful view of the shore, and then they feel their sense of owning just by looking. Yes, this is my shore, this is my neighborhood, and so on. Yes, this is my garden, and so on. Yes, but this happens on everything. This is my routine. This is my routine. This is how I behave, and so on. We are programmed here, and each and every one of us is behaving according to the program. We just don't see this. And everyone is taking courses of how to improve themselves in the morning, how to achieve more goals, more targets in their life, like if it will make someone happy. The more we achieve, the more sense of hunger we have. Yes, it's like drinking salty water. The more we drink salty water, we don't have the sense of ease. We just want to drink more, and this is killing us softly or roughly. Yes, this is very, very interesting. More achievement in life will not bring us anywhere, because we're already here. So where to go? And why to go? Questions? There is a song that once I would like, maybe I'll find it here and I slowly sing it, if I will find it now. It might have English mistakes, but you will understand the gist of it. Here it goes. Who am I when seeker seeks, appearing here in absence, higher than from any thought and empty in its essence? Who am I when me dissolves, no name, no sound, no reference? Who am I with empty eyes, adorn itself with none? Yes, who am I? Who am I when seeker seeks, appearing here in absence, higher than from any thought and empty in its essence? Who am I when me dissolves, no name, no sound, no reference? Who am I with empty eyes, adorn itself with none? This question was asked in the book of Zohar. In the book of Zohar, this is a composition from the 12th, 13th century in Europe. And this is a book that writes commentaries about the weekly portions of the Bible. And there is a corpus there which is called Zohar Mishpatim. There is a weekly portion called Mishpatim. It is part of the book of Exodus. And Zohar Mishpatim has a subsection which says or contains an article which is called Saba de Mishpatim, and then there is a riddle there, and the riddle appears in the song. Who am I when seeker seeks, appearing here in absence? This is what the Zohar asks. And using the Aramic words of the Zohar, Ulimata Shapira, Delet Lainin, like beautiful maiden that has no eyes. Who is this beautiful maiden who has no eyes? Who is she? Or has no eyes or empty eyes? This is what the book of Zohar asks, and this is what appears in this poem. Who am I? And now we have this additional word of seeker, 21st century of seekers and spiritual seekers, because they seek all the time and very, very far, and in every continent, spiritualism, where everything is here all the time, available without condition. This is unconditional love. So says the poem. Who am I when seeker seeks, appearing in its absence, higher than from any thought, and empty in its essence? Who am I when me dissolves, no name, no sound, no reference? Who am I with empty eyes, adorn herself with none? This is the riddle which is being asked already in the 12th century in the book of Zohar. Who am I with empty eyes, adorn herself or itself with none? How can someone adorn himself, herself, itself with none? How can it be? Because usually people adorn themselves with a necklace, with a gem, with earrings, with rings, with ties, with hats. But who is this I that adorns itself with none? With non-duality. This is the infinite. This is the answer. The infinite adorns itself with what? With non-duality. With none. This is the infinite. It's empty. So let's read it again. Who am I when seeker seeks, appearing here in absence, higher than from any thought, and empty in its essence? Who am I when me dissolves, no name, no sound, no reference? Who am I with empty eyes, adorn itself, herself, with none? Yes? And the answer is infinite. Infinite adorns itself with none. None what? No jewelry, non-duality. With none. So if you want to read later, Zohar Mishpatim, in part or in a unit which is called Saba de Mishpatim, Grandpa Laws, you will find a riddle. Maiden without eyes. And if you want to read Wu Wei, Open Secret, a book which was published in Hong Kong, University Press in 1965. And if you want to read the Book of Esther, it's not a book in English, it's a Book of Esther, but more precise, this is the scroll of Esther. Scroll, Megillah, Gilui, revelation. Once the revelation, something is being opened, what is being open, which was hidden, but it's always here. So please pay attention to all of those connections that we went through this afternoon with you. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy we have returned to broadcast on YouTube, and I wish to I'm already wishing to see you next time. So thank you all for being here with us. Wishing you a very good weekend, and we could meet here on Saturday at the same time. All the best. תודה ולהתראות.